And we're going. We just watched the new Bill and Ted.
The new Bill and Ted. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa! We're talking about Keanu Reeves movie. What? They remade that. Is it same people? Keanu Reeves in it?
Yeah, it's a sequel. It's the third part of the trilogy.
Oh my God! I
Yeah.
gotta go back over that.
Oh my god! Because like they go back and so like the whole point is that they are supposed to have written the song that will save humanity and like reunite or get like basically time and space to stop from collapsing upon itself. And so they like decide like, well, it'd just be easier to go steal or like go take it. Like we'll go. They visit themselves
Oh
in the
shit!
future to like just take the song instead of like trying to write it. And so you see them and like basically like one time they're in prison, the next time they're old. Like it's them playing. They're in the makeup playing them.
Yeah, of course,
But yeah,
makeup's
it's
makeup's great.
it's great.
Is Keanu Reeves kind of buff now too? So he's like not skinny anymore.
But that's the thing is they legitimately, it's the same Bill and Ted, so they act the same, like, but now they have daughters who are like basically the girl versions of Bill and Ted.
No crap. Did he lose weight for the part? Did he go back down to like his original skinny body for the part?
I mean, he looks a little thicker, but he's older. He just like because the story, they get famous.
Of course.
The Wild Stallions, their band, Bill and Ted's band, and they get famous, and then they become not famous. So it's like you could tell that they've lived a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
liked it. Robert liked it.
That I gotta check that out. Where's it? Is it you rent it from?
We bought it because right now you can rent it for like $20 or you could buy it for $25. So I was like, fuck it, I'll buy it.
Yeah, they always get you with that good old upsell. That's me, and you can watch as many times as you want. Well,
Yep.
as long as you have internet.
Yeah.
Hell, I talked to my mom today about just certain things, and I guess we came to a conclusion that honestly about like this thing called life is I think it's just the reason why we're not in paradise is because there's way too many people that actually don't want to do anything. So I'm going to digress from why are we in paradise, but for those who are willing to listen, I have been discovering some new things that a lot of things I'm gonna test. I'll keep you tuned in. I'm gonna start making videos of my progress on our channel, Libo Team 5, of course. Got a book, Lost Ways. Now apparently they're making claim in this book. There's this pemmican. It's the recipe. Now the guidelines is in the book. They have some decent stuff to back it up.
What's the name of the book?
The Lost Ways.
The Lost Ways.
I mean, it tells you how to make your. It's a very basic book that anybody could read. It gives you like a self-feeding fire. I would not have even thought of this, and it's a very simple design that the pioneers used to do to have the fire going all night. And you basically make a U shape with a couple sticks, and then stack the logs, and then you cut the logs in such a way that they'll just naturally burn up, and the wood
Well,
will naturally just roll down and burn. So.
if you paid attention to Bridgeport, they taught you that there too.
Yeah, yeah. Some of the, I mean, there was like a lot of just a lot of stuff reiterating knowledge that we did in our cold weather. Except for they have like ways to craft yourself some remedies, of course, and apparently whiskey, beer from different things, how to make alcohol. And they say pain-killing tinctures in this. They say strong pain-killing tinctures, which I have not yet made, which I will be making. And the big thing was the beef pemmican. Okay, or yeah, beef or red meat pemmican, a superfood. Um, Now, I don't remember if you learned back in like third, fourth grade science that animals they just transfer the nutrient, like the best source of energy is directly that from the sunlight, which would be plant based. But then, if you do eat a meat, the best kind of meat you can eat is an animal that eats plants. And that being said, apparently that everything that the human needs, as long as this animal is eaten like it was supposed to in the wild, is in beef pemmican because you render the fat, which is basically cooking out like the saturated fat and keeping so the bad fat you're cooking it out. That's omega 6 fatty acids, and then you're keeping the omega 3 fatty acids. Well, why he backed the science up is because he shows two different pictures of what a grain-fed cow looks like, which is like hay and all that bullshit, and then what a grass-fed cow fat looked like. And of course, the grass-fed omega-3 was just like this glorious looking fluffy pillow of this, the grain. So apparently the Indians invented it. It could be, if you, as long as you keep it at direct sunlight, like direct heat, shade, it will last years. And apparently you can survive off of it eating nothing but pemmican for years. And it has everything you need from that animal. Because of the way the animal eats and the way it stores in the fat and then the way you separate it. It's very simple techniques. It's got me curious, just certain, so.
Well, I mean, it's, I've heard hunters talk about, like killing a bear that had been feeding on berries. Because, like a grizzly bear will, for basically half the year or half the time that it's awake, will eat berries and nuts and shit like that. And then they'll kind of make their way down to the river, and then they'll start eating fish and stuff like that. Along the way here and there, they'll kill, a deer or a moose or something like that. But for the most part, if a bear is in the mindset of I'm eating berries and stuff right now, that's what they'll eat. And they found, they've shot, and when they've cleaned the bear out, the fat is almost purple because of the berries, and it almost tastes like berries when you cook it and eat it. And then when you catch a bear later in the season that's been eating fish, it almost tastes like rotten fish.
Wow.
So basically you can taste what that animal has been eating.
So that just, so I have no doubt that, because the meat too, you have to cook it or dehydrate like jerky below 120 degrees Fahrenheit, because the way you cook it, you do not denature any of the properties of like the minerals and stuff, because the higher you cook things, the more you denature the good things that your body needs.
You're basically talking about a fermented animal product, almost like I think it's Greenland. They'll kill a shark, right? And the shark meat is you can't eat it when it's fresh. You have to basically let it rot for like 6 months, and then it's edible, because of the metal content and stuff. Like you'll get mercury poisoning and stuff if you try to eat it fresh.
Wow.
So that's why in Greenland, a lot of their fermented fish stuff is like their diet is, so you either like it or you hate it. But for basically practical usage, you have to let this stuff rot.
Yeah. And that's just, and you're talking, it addresses things like certain vitamin deficiencies, certain things like calcium, and the milk, the milk industry was big back then, more convenient to do than making pemmican, because making pemmican is a several-hour process.
Well, you also have to think, though, if you fuck it up, you're going to get botulism and you're going to die.
Yeah, if you fuck it up, like store it wrong, gets mold. It's not hard, but it's not hard, but at the same time, it's not. You got to put your mind into it. You can't just like this day and age. You know how this day and age people are. You got to actually put the phone down or just be present. You don't even have to put the phone down, because just a lot of it's stewing stuff for a long time. So something interesting that I definitely going to tap back into some of these forgotten little things, that now that we have better technology, we should re-explore some of this stuff. We're talking just depleting us. We all don't you notice how we're gun ho only on a few different edible things, yet there are plenty of edible things apparently in your backyard, like weeds. There's fucking weeds you could go eat in your backyard.
Well, dandelions, right? You go to a five-star restaurant and they'll serve you dandelion salad and shit. It's people see it as a weed and you try to get rid of it when you could just pick it and eat it.
Yep. That's exactly right. And you can make dandelion tea because it has some sort of fancy out of the roots. It has like a really good something. I'm mixing hibiscus tea and maybe dandelion tea up. I forget. Both of them have two different things.
I know in Europe they drink dandelion tea. Like it's a common thing.
Yeah, I drink dandelion tea. It's delicious. It's they want you to. I had some dandelions growing, and you pay $6 at the store, and I just had like this whole garden of a whole bed of dandelions. I'm like, well, I can grow one thing, right? A weed. Let me just take your price.
Well, it's like I remember in Bridgeport, you know, they were telling us like if you're stranded, you know, you boil some pine needles and you drink the tea, you get a good the dosage of vitamin K.
Hmm.
And you know, a lot of the stuff, if you just boil it down, you can drink your vitamins and stuff every day.
Yep. Well, and also good for abortion.
Yeah, I
Remember
remember
that?
that.
I've
Uh,
never had to use that one. Never had to use that one.
so I was watching a video earlier, and this will kind of go into because you know you're into fitness and shit like that. You know who Brian Shaw is?
Brian Shaw, I do not. I don't
He's
know
a
anybody.
four-time world's strongest man.
Oh yeah, the dude who did the 400 jillion pound deadlift, or is that a different
No,
dude?
that's Eddie Hall.
Eddie Hall.
He did
Yeah,
1,000-pound deadlift.
yeah, that's cool.
Um, so Eddie Hall has won. He's won World's Strongest Man one time. Brian Shaw's won it four times.
And aren't they arch nemesis?
No, they have a show on History Channel together.
Oh, just two for you.
But so I was watching it. So Brian Shaw, he's I would say he's probably the strongest person that's ever lived because just functionally strong. You know, like there's a difference between being able to pick up a barbell and being able to pick up a log, right? Or you know, you might be using the same muscles, but it's a different mechanism because you have to worry about your balance, you have to worry about your footing more, stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, but I do both. I do both, and
But so him and his
totally
wife,
different.
I think this was in the video was released in June, so it had to be prior to that. But him and his wife were like going on vacation or something, and they were driving down the road, and they like come up to traffic, and there was a head-on collision in front of them.
Oh shit.
And so he's like, you know, I could have easily backed up and, you know, turned around and, you know, left. And, you know, I don't think anybody would really blame him. You know, you don't want to be stuck in traffic, but he decided to get out of his car and go see if he could help. So he gets up to the driver in one of them, and he said that the crash was so bad that you couldn't even tell the make or model of either car, right? Because head on, bam.
Yeah.
And he gets up to the guy in the driver's seat, and the driver's talking to him and stuff like that. And he's like, I got to get this guy out of the car, right? So he bends the car door in half.
Of course he does. I knew this was coming.
He bends
That's
car
huge.
door in half. And then somebody's on the phone with 911 and they say, don't pull him out. Obviously, you got, you know, head and neck trauma and stuff like that. So he stops bending the door in half.
He
But
moves the car, don't he?
but it's enough for him to basically get in there. He gets the airbag and stuff, gives the guy some room so that he can breathe and stuff like that. But I was just thinking, like, he bent
He
a
bent the fucking car door in half.
in half with no warm up, no nothing. He just walks up and
I gotta get a hold of me some fucking roids, bro. I got plenty of kids now. I'm down to try some fucking. I have just recently got heavily back into fitness, and I hurt everywhere. When you're older, it's harder. The results are coming pretty quickly, pretty decently quickly, but I'd try some Landon serum. I'd try some, you know, those guys serum
but
for
that's the
sure.
thing is, you know, it's hard to make a case that these guys are clean. But I would say that, you know, he's sick. He's like, no, he's 6'8", right? 370 pounds.
Yeah.
So naturally he's going to be stronger than most people.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
Just the leverage that he can get, the mass that he has behind him.
Usually people from the Netherlands are actually incredibly strong.
Well, yeah, I
They
mean,
might not be fast, but they're strong.
well, but that's the thing. In World's Strongest Man, you have like timed relays and shit, or timed events where you pick things up and carry them a certain distance for time. So that's where the functionally strong comes in, because you know
Yeah.
bodybuilders and stuff are like gym strong, But strong men are like functionally strong, like picking heavy ass rocks up and putting them up over a bar.
Yeah, that'd be the difference between powerlifting is something just like it's lower. It's what I like to do. It's just lower repetition, really heavy weight, and then you obviously just do cardio. Like you don't do powerlifting. I don't do powerlifting every day. I don't know if other people do, but yeah,
Yeah, but
It-
strong men do heavy weight for high repetitions,
yeah,
like
yeah,
which is, and then when you see them try to max, like when they do like the Arnold Classic when they do the elephant bar deadlift,
yeah,
like and you get three, it's like 3 rounds and you get to name your weight, right? And these guys are 1,100 pounds, 1,200 pounds. It's ridiculous.
So
Their noses are bleeding. They're
yeah,
busting veins in their head.
just
Like,
can't be healthy, man. It can't be healthy.
well, that's
Like,
one strong man was on Rogan's podcast, and he said if you're not like doing a competition or something like that, you shouldn't deadlift. Like the risk versus reward. You're more likely to get hurt that deadlifting than you are really anything else.
yeah, I gotta. It's just I thought used to think that they were really good for you. I mean, yeah, they work your muscles out, but they hurt your shoulders and just certain stuff. I can't. You can't. I don't do anymore because I'm not gun ho about it. Just
Which
good old.
just think, because like on a deadlift, you're supposed to try to come up straight, right?
Yeah.
And that ensures that you're lifting straight up with your knees and you're engaging your core.
Hmm.
So just think, if you're even off by a couple degrees, you're gonna blow your back out, you're gonna blow your knees out, you're gonna fuck your hips up, you're gonna tear a hamstring,
Yeah.
you're gonna
Oh
like the risk is not worth it.
no, just good old fashioned squats, buddy. Yeah. I honestly, I'm about to get one of those too. My shoulders are. I mean, they're getting better because I've been doing just a lot of push ups and bench too and pull ups. But additionally with squats is like it hurts to hold my shoulder up like this. So I'm gonna get me a bar
With
that
the
that
with
you can
the
hold
Yeah,
right here. Yeah.
has
Because
like the yoke on it, like you can.
hmm
Yeah, I
yeah.
always had that issue too, because like when I squatted, I like to put my hands out and basically press out on the plates, right?
Hmm.
And that gives like something so I can basically engage my arms and then squat down and come back up. But like, I was always told you go like this and you grab it back here. But then I'm focused on how much that is uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And then you really can't, with 100%, engage the muscles required to squat.
Yeah, yeah. And see the old heads like see I have a buddy who actually is all natural who can I think he's deadlifting right at I think 600 pounds. So, he's benching like 5 and he is all natural and it's taken him forever to do. But and he's still gun ho about use the old fashioned way. But I mean, now he's older. Now he gets like injured, then he's out for a jillion years. Then he gets a good couple months in, then he injures something else, and he's out. It's like I don't know, man. I prefer just it's not about like competition ready for me. Like old competition. Like you got to use that bar. Use the old bars. Like why? Why don't we just use some better inventions to gauge how
Yeah,
much this muscle picks up or whatever? I
yeah.
don't get it.
If you're doing it for like real health and strength, you wouldn't
Yeah.
you would want to use the best way to do that, right? Like, you know what I
Ex-
mean? Like,
Yeah, like that bar. What I mean, let's think about it. So you're hurting your shoulders doing that. I mean, my shoulders hurt from doing that. Other people's might not, but I can't. I can barely lift my like this hurts. And it's getting better, and I'm doing other things. But even when I get it better, and it doesn't hurt to lift my arms, and it's starting not to, I don't want to fucking re-injure that just to pick up some shit and sit it down. And I love working out,
well,
but
that's my guess is that these, strongmen and stuff, the ones that are using steroids are probably using them for recovery, not to gain strength. They're doing it so that they can work out, instead of waiting 3 days, they can wait 2 days.
and that's dude that is exact I mean I would like to think that I could I know it's addicting but I think if you could hit it like for with discipline I bet it's not terrible. I don't know I've never people who have trouble controlling themselves on substance maybe not ought to do it but I've never had said problem so
Well, I mean, there's an argument too, right? For like these athletes that, you know, have been caught with steroids and stuff. It's like, don't you, you know, if you're paying this guy $100 million a year, wouldn't you want him to be able to play every game? You know what I mean? And why not just have a doctor be there to prescribe it for guys so that they're
Yeah.
not going to the, you know, to the gym or to Mexico or to
Eh,
Europe.
Yeah. Who knows if we record enough results, do enough experimentation, maybe we can find some fucking steroids that is like Captain America serum. You just hit it one time, and then all of a sudden you're better. Or
Well,
like Master Chief, you're bigger, you're stronger, you're faster.
I forgot who it was. Somebody was talking about how, I think it was an old bodybuilder. He was talking about, like, somebody asked him about steroids. I think it was Rogan. He asked them, like, you know, I'm going to bring it up, you know, steroids. He's like, tell me about the steroids. And they were, you know, the ones that need the show muscles, right? You know, they're doing their flexes and they're getting graded on their body. They're basically the guinea pigs because they couldn't go to a doctor and ask for Turinabol and fucking insulin and shit like that. So they get it off the black market. And fucking with insulin is deadly, dude. You fuck with insulin, you're fucked.
Yeah.
And like they would basically like, hey man, here's your vial of fucking steroids, and they'd be like, how much do I take? I don't know. How much do you want to take? like, do you want to get big super fast? Or are you going to use them for what they were like created to do, which would be, you know, healthy, slow gains, right?
Mhm.
Over a year or 2 years instead of a month or 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly like I'd start with a low bucking dosage. I don't even want to do it to like if the big L came up to me and said, "All right, dude, I can make you grow just like me." All right. Yeah, obviously I'd do exactly pretty much. I mean, because we're similar in like the probably genetics because you know he's like a German looking motherfucker too. And so maybe that would help. But other than that, I would just like do it very easily because you got to think the come down, bro. The harder you do it, the harder it is gonna be to do this stuff on your own, you know. So I just want like a minimal something to heal me up real quick, and then get like in some maybe the best shape ever. But it wouldn't, you know, like you said, a couple years doing proper cycles. That who knows like that might help with a lot of things. But anyway, you know
Well,
it.
there's also ways to where, you know, the reason that you cycle is because you're jacking your fucking system up, right?
Mhm.
So if you like, you know, for instance, in Iraq, right? I would say most of our company was on testosterone, right? At least, you know, some sort of testosterone boosting supplement,
Yeah, unless I didn't know it, unless they were given to me, the only thing I was eating was Yellow Jackets.
which is basically meth, which is
Yeah. So,
ephedrine.
oh well, no, I definitely would have if I would have known. Like,
Well,
but our
like,
company wasn't into
because
that.
we found out that the stuff that couldn't be shipped to the United States because it's illegal, they would be able to ship it to the APO, FPO because we were technically not in the US.
Yeah.
So we got, you know, we were buying, what was that? Fucking, it was like Test and like fucking Rip, like, all, you know, all those shits. And they would come with the estrogen booster for, you know, you'd go 2 weeks on your testosterone. And then the third week you would do estrogen. And then you would
God damn
and then
it.
the fourth week you would take off, and then you would start your cycle all over again, right?
Were you guys all like, no wonder fucking? I remember seeing Testic Dick, and he was like, he had acne, and he was like huge and scary. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
But also there were guys that would do 4 weeks on testosterone and then try to do 1 week on estrogen, and they grew tits and like you get the was it gynomastica or something like that when your estrogen in a male, your estrogen gets too big, like that's when your nipples start hurting and like you start growing like fatty tissue around your breast areas.
Ew, sorry, I didn't mean to make a face for people who do that. Like they look good.
Well, no, it's basically if you don't cycle correctly, that's what happens.
Yeah.
And so they thought that they would double their testosterone, which would double their strength and
Yeah.
size. But they didn't realize that they give you those directions for a reason, right? Like that's, like it's how you're supposed to do it. And like a lot of guys got huge, and then as soon as we got back to the States, when they couldn't buy that shit anymore, they all shrunk. Or
Except
like,
for a couple. Except for a couple that did it
yeah,
right.
but for the most part, I would say they probably kept doing what they were doing.
Yeah. Yeah. They kept train. Oh. Oh, maybe that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I mean, like honestly, the drug tests that they gave us in the military were not very good.
Mm-mm. They were just looking for fucking pot. Like that's what they were fucking looking for. Isn't that crazy? They were like, we're not gonna get any pots. What is that? I mean, does it make us back talk? I guess it does kind of make you back talk a little bit. I don't know. I don't know.
I think we talked about this. I think that CBD should be embraced by the military.
Yeah, I agree.
I
CBD
think
is
you would
not a
see
bad thing.
the amount of people that are taking Motrin, which is terrible for your fucking organs.
And that's acetaminophen. Is Motrin acetaminophen?
No,
What is it?
Motrin is ibuprofen.
Oh, so
The-
acetaminophen's terrible for your liver, and then Motrin's terrible for the rest. Okay.
And then if you take, you're not supposed to take both of them. You're supposed to take one or the other. And like that's why, like I didn't really understand until I watched some of like the special forces selections where they say that you're not allowed to take aspirin, you're not allowed to take anything because they need to know if you're injured, right? Because a guy say in Buds in Hell Week is going to go pop 10 fucking aspirin to try to get through the day, right? When in reality he probably has or stress fractures and shit like that. They need to know so that you don't get hurt worse.
Or you master the pain.
Well, no, you're supposed to mentally master the pain. You're supposed to know that your mind is stronger than your body.
Well, yeah, yeah.
But it's so that you don't try to push through something that's serious.
Yeah, there's always next season. There's always next tryouts, kids.
Yeah, and
Do some roids, get back in the game, get off the roids, get back.
and as long as you don't voluntarily quit in a lot of the special forces stuff, they'll let you go again. You know what I mean? Like if you get medical dropped in Buds, you can go again. But if you quit, you're not allowed to ever try Buds again. So a lot of them will push through, or a lot of them try to fake injuries when they want to get out. Which is stupid because you're dealing with guys who deal with injuries every day. Like, I mean, like Marcus Luttrell used to do for his medical training for traumas and shit.
Yeah.
He did shifts in like Chicago's emergency rooms.
Oh shit! No shit.
So he's like in his book he talks about, he's like, I know how to deal with a gunshot wound. I learned that shit in Chicago. Like, you get guys come in that are shot 6-7 times in the chest, and he's there in the rotation with the doctors and the nurses fucking packing wounds and shit. And that's basically how the special forces medics and shit are trained. Like they do like residencies basically at hospital.
We got taught some badass shit by a Navy before? Do you remember that training? I remember that training class. I had to make the chest tubes. I'll never forget how to make chest tubes. I mean, they do it on TV all the time. With the Good Doctor now, they did it off the Last House on the Left, something where the girl gets raped and shot and shit, and the dad's a doctor, finally gets a hold of her, gives her the Windex bottle chest tube, and then they do it on the Good Doctor. And he says that shit is like, you got to know if there's blood filling the cavity or air first off. And then second off, there's a very specific place to cut that I don't think I'm going to demonstrate just in case some fucking retard decides to try that shit. But you can put your fucking finger, like pretty much, if you cut it, you can put your finger pretty much through. And he teaches you.
That's how you find where the membrane is. You stick your fucking finger in there and you feel for the membrane of the lung.
Yep, the serous membrane.
Yeah. But there's a huge difference between a needle thoracentesis and a fucking chest tube.
Huge.
It's two different things, like one is liquid in the lungs, one is liquid on top of the lungs, or air, or whatever it is.
Yeah, air, because they bleed the valve and it allows your lungs to reinflate. After you, like, I don't know, like your lungs are punctured, but they've clotted and it's not bleeding into your cavity. So when you inhale, the air goes out of your lungs and into your cavity, but does not escape through the fleshy hole because your body's trying to clot and
Yeah,
close it off.
it's
So
basically you're basically creating a vacuum inside your
Mhm.
your your chest cavity, which then presses down on the lungs. So
Which,
you basically suffocate to death.
yeah, and that makes sense if you think about it. So that's just what, like, so you sometimes like people are like, sometimes your body knows what to do and other times it doesn't. And there's a lot of different ways to train your body. Like, have you ever heard of Wim Hof?
Yeah, the
He,
breathing
oh
and
yeah,
yeah.
dude, I live by that shit. Like the breathing, like activating adrenaline. It just like before I work out, I could just tell the difference. If I do some power breaths, it gets your and I have a pulsometer to test your heart rate. So those power breaths actually make your heart rate. All it does is jack your heart rate up. But you also have the oxygen. It's kind of cool. And if you learn to, he gives you a warning. But if you, I don't know, you start to see stars. That's what you want. You want the beginning stage of starting to see stars, but not like too much. And then you wait. So you do your power breaths and then you wait a couple seconds till the stars go away till you start, because you don't want to get lightheaded. There's a fine line, okay, but too much. But when you hit that right amount and then you let the stars kind of start to go away and they're gone, you feel like, yeah, I'm ready to fucking squat. Versus because that's how I warm up when I get there. I'm like, oh shit. And then cold shower, same thing. Like my water cannot get cold enough anymore. I go straight hot to straight cold, and now I'm about to buy a freezer, like a big freezer, to where I could fill it full of water, and I will keep that bitch to where I'm gonna start taking ice baths. It's your hair looks better.
There's a good video of do you know who Juji Mufu is?
And Juji Mufu, no, I gotta write that one down. I got some research to do.
So he's on a channel on YouTube called Juji Mufu and Tom, I think is what it's called. And they do like they travel around and train with all these strongmen. And they went to Iceland and trained with Hafthor Bjornsson, the mountain from Game of Thrones.
Of course.
And they do a thing where they sit in a hot tub outside, and then you go down and you literally jump into the ocean. You go as deep as you can into the ocean, and it's like literally you see fucking sheets of ice floating by in the background,
Dude.
and then you fucking run back up, jump back in the hot tub. You're just shocking your system over and over and over.
Dude, it's like I almost have to like I probably need to change it up because I almost have to get into the hot shower before I do the cold. Like sometimes I go straight cold. I'm like, what the fuck? I can master it. It takes me a couple of seconds to master it, but when I go from hot to cold, it just does something to your senses and your brain. It's like a reset button. The hard part about it is just you're in control of your own destiny. You're in control of your own mental health, and that's harder. Somebody who has fucked up mental health, it's just hard to even fathom. It makes it harder to even do what you need to do to get out of your state of mind. But if you can make the commitment to actually go forward and doing something like that, it pulls you out of your bullshit funk that you get in. It's like, oh shit, I'm in a funk. Literally jump in a fucking cold shower, dude. Swear to God.
I remember in Blackhawk, dude, like we had the shower trailer, and we had the giant tank of water, and like you would have to go out with a broomstick and fucking break up the sheets of ice on top of the water, and then like you'd be in there, and it's cold. Like people think that Iraq desert, it's hot all the time, but we were there in the winter. It was cold as fuck.
It was below freezing at night, obviously.
So I remember standing, like you turn the shower water on. There's no hot water because I think there was like the water heater had been broken for years, and so we were just like, or not we, but I'd stand there and I'd be like, and you'd fucking get in there and you'd fucking get all wet, and it's literally ice water, and you're like, ah, and then you turn the water off and you fucking soap up, and you're just like pissed the whole time, like ah, and you turn it on and you're like ah. But like I never felt like you feel fucking rejuvenated. You're awake. Like
yeah, some of the shit those extreme physical conditions that we were forced to go through is just fucking just great for you. It builds character and it's great for you.
That's like I didn't want to admit it, but I liked the cold river crossing that we did in Bridgeport. And I think the water, they said it was like upper 40s. It was like between 48 and like 52 degrees.
You're clearly from an ice country, bro. I don't know if you see how white you are, but you're clearly made for ice, bro. You're clearly made for ice.
Well, but that's the thing, dude. Like, I have a cabin less than an hour from Bridgeport. I grew up in those mountains. I swam in those lakes and those rivers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But seeing guys from fucking the Bible Belt and shit, where it's, you know, like they touch the water and they're like, ooh, like, it's like,
Shut your
well,
mouth.
yeah, you're like, dude, like fucking an hour and a half ago, this water was snow on top of the fucking mountain.
Dude. And you're right, dude. I used to be the world's biggest wuss when it came to taking a cold shower, but I am not anymore, bro. Because, you know, if science can prove that it's good for you, then I'm gonna do it, okay? And that's never would have guessed being cold showers and putting your body through shock, something that I thought was so fucking terrible, is actually so good for your mental health and all this stuff. It's just physically hard to go and do, and it makes sense. It's something you don't want to fucking do. So thus it helps you out great, you know, because he got into it because of his wife committed suicide, and that's how he combats depression.
Well, Wim Hof.
Yeah.
So there's a video. Have you ever heard of Yes Theory?
Yes, I have heard of Yes Theory.
So they do a really good video with Wim Hof where they go to like his workshop and it's just them at like his house. And he's like, in 4 days, I will have you be able to hike up this mountain in the snow with wearing your underwear, right?
Mount Kilimanjaro.
And they're like, oh no, you know, this shit, you know, it's not going to happen. And he goes, our first step is we're going to go over to the waterfall and it's snowing, right? And he's like, we're going to go over the waterfall. You're going to jump off. And so they all jump off and they're freezing. They're fucking shivering. They're fucking crazy like that. And in 4 days, through breathing techniques and basically getting their body acclimated to being cold and being uncomfortable, they hiked up the fucking mountain in a blizzard wearing their fucking chonies. And like, I'm talking like knee to waist height snow. And like fresh snow on your fucking body, on your bare body sucks.
On your balls, bro.
Because it sticks. That dry snow sticks to your body. And then it melts. Your body heat melts it. And then you're just wet. And then they like jump into the last thing they did was the same as the first one, where they jump off the waterfall into the river. And they're like hanging out. Dude, they have a meeting. They're fucking neck deep in the water and they're having a meeting. And
it's probably warm.
Yeah, you can see the steam coming off the water, like, because the water is just a little bit warmer than the air outside. And you know, a lot of people think that it's the water that gets you. It's getting out of the water that makes you cold.
Dude,
the water is generally warmer than the air. Because if it was, you know, below freezing, it would be frozen. So it's when you get out of the cold water into the even colder air, that's when you get really fucking cold.
Dude, I wish I would have called when I was making bank working for that other company. I was literally about to fucking buy a ticket to go with this guy and climb a fucking mountain in my underwear. And everybody was like, never had I thought as a child would I be getting into such goofy shit. But this guy, you know, dude is, you know, it's not like going to climb a mountain in your fucking underwear is like, that's living, bro, okay? Going through his little camp to go climb a freaking mountain in your underwear, I'd love to do that in my lifetime. So that's one of our Liberal Team 5 adventures we should probably take before he dies. We might die before him at the looks of things, the way he rolls, but
I mean, that's another thing too, is he, like, just through his breathing, like, you can trip. You can have a psychedelic experience just through your breathing techniques. And it's crazy because you'll see people, dude, they're laying there on the yoga mat and they're breathing and all of a sudden they're going like this.
Bro.
And it's like, he's like, yeah, you know, they're doing it right. Like, they're fucking like. Dude,
if I could get more than, I was out there for like 30 minutes. If I can get more than 30 minutes without like one of my kids or the old lady come and say, hey, I need you, that something's on fire. But I remember one day I was just like into it. and I'm like, oh, I don't know. I like left the yard, okay, and I was in a new level of like serenity and peace. And then of course, what happens is Zaylee comes and just fucking from nowhere elbow drops me right in the old gonad.
From the
I,
top rope.
yeah, from the top rope, just right in the gonads, and that brought me out of it. And since it's been hot here, and I don't feel like the water's cold enough, it's kind of been, which I should go back to doing the breathing methods, but I really like going out into the cold weather like when it's fucking cold, and I'm the crazy guy shirtless in my yard in the wintertime because of Wim Hof. That's what I did all. We got our water park pool thing. I got Pirate Bay. That's like just a water park, blow up water park. Um, we busted that. We busted that sucker out early March in like 50-degree weather, and then when it got super hot, we're like, dude, screw the super heat. So I want to move to like Alaska or something. I
Well,
like.
so, you know, my wife used to think I was crazy because when we lived up in the mountains, you know, we'd have, you know, 2.5 feet of snow outside, and I'd be in my fucking in my silkies, like barefoot out in the snow barbecuing, and like I could see like people like would be like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" And it's like, it's not that bad. It's like it could be so much worse.
Your body will adjust, man. That's the, you learn, like the first time I was really ever challenged physically was the Marine Corps, and I was just amazed about how quick I could. Like my dad was a worker. Like I mean, I played G.I. Joe and all that stuff, but and my dad made me chop wood and all that crap. So I mean, I had some decently callousness to myself, but you really get it in boot camp. Like you really get that repetitive movement down. You really get that. Uh, it's just kind of awesome. The way they have us transition from shoes to boots, and then you're all of a sudden can walk. I can out hike everybody ever. Just still to this day, I could still hike. I still like go to Colorado with my cousin, and then I could still run up a mountain even though I'm chubby, and that's just because I don't know. I guess thank you, Marine Corps, rah. So that's what I'm going forward is like, yeah, there were some hard times. Man, we have a lot to be thankful for. Like some awesome training, awesome time. It could have been better. Yeah, let's not forget that. That's for sure.
A
Definitely
couple
could be
a
better.
couple years ago, I attempted part of the Appalachian Trail, and I was going from north to south. I was going from Virginia to I was going to end in basically the beginning of the trail in Georgia. It was like 600 miles, something like that. And I quit after the second day because like I was mentally broken. But I told people I was like I could hike. Like I still fucking hiked. It was like 20 something miles, but I was like it wasn't the hiking. It was being away from my babies.
Yeah.
Like, so one day I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna prove that I could still hike because
That-
you can put weight on my back and all as long as I can pick my legs up, I can hike.
yeah. I hike with the babies. I throw like they're small enough that I could strap them. They're getting a little heavy now, but I put them both in like a carrier and I strap them to my bike. But I feel you there, bro. I'm like, that's why I couldn't get. That's why I got so fat, dude. Is because I enjoy my wife now. I enjoy spending time with her. So like when I'm away for too long, I just like, damn, this sucks. So
Yeah,
I
that's why I was so happy. And I told my wife, I was like, I wouldn't have been able to make it in the military being married and having kids.
it was hard, man. It took away my childhood, what I wanted to do for my childhood. It made me reconsider a career because I had Cameron, and you know what? I don't regret it. It's been hard, and I still think like a Marine is still. But I'm starting to. This has been a really good thing, helping me just move forward, and I'm glad. I'm glad I did it, man. Because having, you know, kids are just this whole. That's why I said I don't get people living for yourself because there was, but if it wouldn't have been for the Marine Corps, I'd have been in prison, and then without Cameron, I probably would have stayed a infantry killer. I don't know where I would have been with. I don't think I would have had a soul. It felt like he gave it back, man. It felt like he gave it back because I was, dude. And you said somebody else didn't want their family there. I did not want my family there the day I got back, dude. I was not fucking ready. And then I saw him, and he was screaming but something hit clicked, and I just went. And as soon as I grabbed him and held him for the first time, he just stopped fucking screaming. He just immediately stopped screaming. And I said, "Don't worry, buddy. Daddy's got you." And then the second deployment, when I first got back. And I think I got that one on video. Like I don't have a lot of pictures, but I got that one. And when I got back, dude, he didn't know who the fuck I was, and I was like, nah, fuck this.
Yeah,
So
that's why when we have like senior guys, I want to talk to them about like what it's like. How do you do that? How can you go, basically your kid's whole adolescence, teenage years, shit like that, with being gone for 7 months every year and a half. You leave for 7 months, or you leave 3 or 4 times a year for a month, and then you leave for 7 months, or in the army, dude, fucking 15 months,
yeah,
like shit like that.
15 fucking months. Some never get it, bro. Some people, that's how my father was, man. He was an excellent worker at his company. Dude, he just, fuck, still, I mean, we are good friends, and whatever happened in the past is in the past, but, you know, we still don't talk, dog. We still don't, like, I don't know shit about the man.
Well, yeah,
So that's,
you can never make up for time lost. That's what people don't get is, like you'll never get those 7 months of Cameron, or however many months total you were gone of Cameron's life back.
yep, yep. Another thing is, you don't, if you're an individual, and I've been through it since I've been homeless, all right? I've been homeless. I've had to, since I've been out, that homeless vet, all that stereotypical vet shit, I've been blowing my head off. I've been there already. So to the veterans now that are struggling, that might have got out, a little later than us, or anybody who's struggling with depression, you don't get that time back, And I even lost some civilian years with Cameron because of I hit a downward spiral, and it's affected him, and we're facing the consequences of my actions as a father now. It's going to be okay, but we are facing some consequences. He's a little behind, just a little behind. He shows great potential, of course, but he's a little behind, and it's because I allowed this stuff to get to me. So,
Well, it's also, when you were home, you had to work. We didn't have a 9 to 5. We had a show up whenever I tell you to. You can leave whenever I tell you to.
mm-hmm.
If I tell you, you can leave. Like, we would do how many things where it was like, yeah, we're not technically doing anything, but you have to stay at the squad base, or you have to stay at the barracks, or we're going out to the field for a week, and you don't even like, at least the guys now, they have cell phones and shit, and they can FaceTime and all that. We didn't have,
Shit, I didn't want that shit when I was in the field. At the same time, like, would you have wanted that distraction in the field? Fuck no.
that's the thing is like for me, I only had to switch when I would go home on leave, right? And that was, for I like realistically we got leave like once a year.
Yeah.
And even then, if you didn't have enough days, you would have to come back early.
Yeah.
So I would only have to switch once or twice a year, where
Well,
you would have to switch it on and off every day.
yeah, and turning it back on was what cost me my first marriage. Being able to turn it back on. I never came back from Iraq. Like, she left knowing me a certain way, and I came back completely different. And then on top of whatever, I could turn it on and off for being a dad. But honest to God, not having, and if I were to go back now to the military on a deployment, I would just call once a week, man. I would not you can't pull yourself out of that mindset, dude. It's just having a phone on you, being able to talk to them before a firefight. You're going to be clinging on to that phone, and you're not going to be thinking about what you're supposed to do, and you're probably going to get schwacked.
Well, in Iraq, I think I only called home. I think I told my dad I would call home once a month. And other than that, as long as you don't hear anything, no news is good news, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, I got you. And I was like, okay. Like, one, it was expensive as fuck to call home. That's what people don't realize. Two, is if you want to call home when we were in Iraq, you had to fucking pay for it.
Yeah.
You had to buy minutes on a calling card and call home, or you called collect and your family would have to fucking pay for it.
Bro. And
Plus, you had to do the math on the time difference. I would have to call home at like 2 o'clock in the morning in Iraq to get my dad, just getting off work at home.
Yeah. The one and only time I called him during the day, right? It was like closer to mid deployment before things settled down at OP Green to where we weren't on such high alert. And I call home, and the idiots out front just pop off a whole shit ton of celebratory fire, bah, 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 bah. And of course, just old Lance Corporal Smuckatelli here fucking dives off the phone and charges out the battle, only to find that it was just some fucking retards out having just a bunch of rednecks, Iraqi rednecks out shooting some AKs, no big deal. But I forgot to call them back for like a couple of weeks, and they're like, oh. I'm like, oh, it's not even that hectic here. Come on, it was just celebratory fire. But that's why it's terrible for a family to have to go through, bro. Because I get it, man. I'm
I
not even
remember
mad at my ex.
when I got hurt, I called and to tell my dad, be like, hey, just letting you know, because they said that the military would, basically send him like a sort of like a reverse Red Cross message. And I was like, no, 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 he's gonna hear it from me. So I call him and like I get out, I'm like, hey dad, I don't want you to freak out, but I got hurt, da da da. And I'm like about to like explain what happened and the fucking phone shut off. And they put us in River City for like a week. I was like, fuck, dude, he's gotta be tripping balls right now. And
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, can we send, remember how they could send like an email back to like the RBE, and then the RBE commander would call and be like, hey, this is what's going on, this is why he can't call you and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
But for people out there that don't know what River City is, it's when somebody gets hurt or killed or something and they shut off all lines of communication so that the family of whoever's involved can be notified officially and not basically get a phone call from one of the guys that was there and tell them what happened before the military tells them.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
sucks because like they'll be like, hey, River City, so basically your only getaway from being in Iraq is now gone for the foreseeable future. You had no internet, no phones, nothing.
Yeah. And it just, if you're a family, dude, honestly, that has somebody deployed, dude, just he ain't got time for, especially in the infantry. He ain't got time for no, unless you're Rosie, but he ain't got time. Ain't nobody in all seriousness. That's most of Rosie what we talk about. Most of what we say is a joke or exaggerated. Like when we're talking about our other brothers, it's all exaggerated. It's all like offensive. But in realisticness, nobody's got time for that on a deployment, bro. You gotta, if you want your guy or gal to stay into a mindset, leave them the fuck alone. All right, just send some care packages.
Well, so
Yeah,
I told, like, even in boot camp, I told my parents and friends and stuff, I was like, you're probably not going to get a letter from me, but write me letters. You know what I mean? Like, don't assume that because you don't get anything from me, I don't want anything from you. I'm like, but especially in Iraq and stuff, was like, I'm not going to be sending you letters because every time I sit down to write a letter, I get transported out of the mindset I need to be in.
mm-hmm.
So I love having the letters and cards and stuff from home, but don't expect it to come the other way.
Yeah,
Because the 5 minutes that I fucking have to take to figure out how many stamps I need or which, box to put the letters in is like 5 minutes that I could be getting my gear ready or cleaning my fucking rifle or something like that.
yeah. Hey, 10 years later, we're finally home, huh? It takes a minute to get home to finally start to, like, I talking about these even going back and watching some of the shit I said over our podcast. I'm like, how it stuck with me to yesterday. Some of the stuff might be mixing with some modern day bullcrap, but it feels good to talk about this in the podcast, and it's finally at rest, and that's something we can all do better, is start being able to turn things off and on, like for the civilian. This is why these people, I think the generation coming up, they don't like to work that 50, 60 hours, is because they seen their father do something that we do very similar to what we do, is how we get into the war mindset. Well, my father had maintained a work mindset. He's too tired to do anything when he got home. He went and put his heart and soul into this job because that's what they demand of you. They demand excellence. They demand all this stuff. And then you get home and you physically can't give any more because we're all human. There's actually it sounds great. It sounds like when you say the words, I'm going to be superhuman and go to work a jillion hours, then come home and be the best damn father known to man.
No, you got to pick one.
You got to pick one, man. And the people who are doing both have some sort of edge. They have a good team that they're not doing what they appear to be. That's the one thing I learned in civilian world. All these people I work for is like, we work this much, we work this much. When I get to them, they're all doing the same fucking thing, trying to skate through life, make a bunch of money by doing minimal work. It ain't. Everybody's doing that. Don't. If you're that motherfucker who's overworking and stressing yourself out because you don't think you're working hard enough, well, probably shut the fuck up because
And remember, you can't get the time back.
you can't get the time back. If you're that motherfucker who's watching that person overwork themselves and you're just sitting back doing jack shit, letting that person overwork himself, well, fuck you because you're a piece of shit too. Because he can't get that time back, and that's what we're saying here. Look out for your brother. Dude, I was talking to my mom today too about like what's wrong with these people. They're all selfish. It's like, dude, I didn't fucking at the time as a kid. In my mindset, I didn't fucking stay there with Cameron. I didn't fucking stay there because I fucking wanted to. I stayed there, honor for my family. That was like number three. It was like the number one factor at first. But the number one factor why I stayed there is because you motherfuckers didn't want to be there either. And if I bitched out on you guys, that makes me like as a human being like lower than scum. It just makes sense to me. Don't bail on your people that are doing a fucking job that nobody wants to do. They kind of exaggerate it. They glorify it a little bit. They build you up, veterans, all this shit. Okay? None of us wanted to fucking be there. Some people did. There's a very few people who were fucking gung-ho and stayed in, like Master Sergeant Henderson and fucking Renopedia and other people who did double pumps or not double pumps, but double enlistments. Rosie, But at the certain point, I was just like, dude, this is fucking terrible.
Well, then too, like I remember having duty on like a Saturday. Both of us, you would be duty NCO, I'd be A duty, and Cameron would come hang out with us. And it was like, it's shitty that one of your only days off, you have to come into work.
Hey, but making a fucking good time is my specialty, okay?
Yeah, I remember Cameron would be our little post buddy. He'd be our duty buddy.
Yeah, throw the duty belt on him.
I remember like the OOD coming around and like we're both sitting behind the desk and Cameron's sitting on the desk and he's like playing with the duty belt and stuff and like the ruler and the book and we're just sitting there like, God, are we fucking done yet? Like there was nobody there. Like there was like 3 people in the squad bay and it was like, this is fucking ridiculous.
I wish I would have properly taught him to report the post. That way to just like, what are you going to do, OD? This kid actually fucking reported the post like actually you're supposed to. Okay. What would they have done? We didn't get in trouble. He was cool.
Yeah.
That OOD was fucking, that was the time when De La Garza was on fucking suicide watch. Is that when we were watching De La Garza? Yeah. And then, I mean, dude, that poor kid, he's Fry's protege, but like Fry could survive hikes, and Fry was actually a really badass hiker because he was from Colorado. I was like one of the he even got the man award a couple times where everybody else had tapped out, was a heat casualty, and this was after he tried to escape, of course. And then he somehow gets everybody in all the gear and humps up a mountain, and they actually had to call a Casevac in to pull him out. It was something I was driving for, some badass event that I of course missed because I was stuck in driving school. But this other guy, you remember him? Oh no. How did he make it through boot camp?
I don't know.
It's like they really needed bodies. They were really trying to make a quota. But I was like, dude. I was like, I was like, look, bro, do you really want to stay here? You're like, he was just round and squishy, and he was like, no, and he's like crying. He missed his mom. I'm like, bro, just tell everybody that you're gonna, I'm not saying do it, but just fucking tell them you're gonna fucking end yourself. So me and you could get back. It was like we were watching Boondock Saints too. We were doing something fun, but it just, I got him to I convinced him to tell everybody he was going to kill himself, and that's the last I saw of him. So
Well,
good.
it was like, dude, you're in California. Like, chill out.
Yeah,
And you're about to go on a ship for fucking 7 months.
I
Like,
know, man.
fucking chill, dude. You'll get through it. I trust me. You like,
I know, bro. I tried. I offered. I was like, bro. I was like, dude. I'm like the. I don't know. I'm like passive. Probably shouldn't have been in the Marine Corps, right? But I still survived. I was like, dude, I could offer you. I was trying to counsel. I'm like, bro, we could PT. You could PT with me. It's like I'm not even a PT step, but I'm still busting out 20 pull-ups and 100 crunches. I never had anything less than a first class BFT, or first class BFT. And
dude,
I was like,
it's not hard to get a first class PFT.
20 pull-ups. That's it. You just work your upper body a little bit
Not
more.
even, dude. The most pull-ups I ever did in my Marine Corps career at one time was 16.
Yeah, but can't you run faster than me? I'm pretty sure you can
No,
actually run
my
faster.
fastest run time ever was 2010.
Really? Shit.
But
That was SOI.
so no, that was so the most fittest that I ever was right before our first deployment because Canaway would PT the shit out of us, but we saw the results. You know what I mean? Like it was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, like my time because and I think my fastest run time in boot camp was it was like 21:25 or something like that. So I dropped over a minute off my 3 mile run
Wow.
in that first workout. But for a first class, all you need is it's like I think like 13 or 14 pull-ups, a decent run, like anything under like 22 minutes, and then your 100 crunches. It's not that hard.
Or 20 pull-ups, 100 crunches, 24-minute run, like the
Yeah,
Goodrich special.
yeah.
I love old Goodrich. Oh man, just rebelled, just that rebel. But yeah, but it's just so I think what people are afraid of is becoming their father, their parents, and I know it's kind of what I did for a while. Now I am trying to be better. I think I am better, but it's still, got a long way to go. And and being better might only mean a little better because now he's raising grandchildren, and of course they're fucking perfect. So, you know, it's funny how that works.
Plus,
They got
I tell people, I was like, I never thought that my dad would be the caliber of grandparent that he is, right? It was like because he was a dick my whole like growing up. He was the type of dad that would point out the things you did wrong, not the shit you did right.
Mhm.
So it was like, fuck it, dude. And I was like, dude, I haven't lived in your house since I was 17. I never asked for money. I never asked for favors. I've only asked like twice to babysit the kids. But then when I see him with my kids, I was like, that's not the guy that raised me. Like that's
Yeah.
like I told my oldest son, I was like, the papa that you know is not the guy that I call dad. That was not it's not the same as when I was growing up.
Yeah. And I guess it has to be that way, dude. You need that pool, that pool that we were talking about, the one where, Master Sergeant said it made him a better person having to deal with, you know, people of the opposing side, and actually, when you actually work with these people and learn to work with them, you develop a type of love that's not friendship. Okay, it's an unconditional love because you know that this person is not evil.
Well,
And
it's just because you wouldn't hang out on a Friday night and have a beer with him doesn't mean you wouldn't share a fucking fighting hole with him. Like you don't have to be friends to fucking work together. That's what people don't get is like, oh well, I don't like this guy over here. Well, fuck it, do your job anyway, and that person does their job, and you never have to interact with each other.
exactly. And to show you the way of things, people. Um, we actually got I don't know this when we're gonna pump these out, but we actually got a big guest coming Tuesday. It's our actual old first sergeant. Okay, he's gonna come on Tuesday at 8. We're gonna see how coming to a bunch of fucking degenerates how that was. Poor guy coming from a sophisticated world. I didn't even realize how much I got into cooking though because of that guy. Because of that guy was a chef. It actually I was like, it can't be that, you know. And then I did the chefing in the fucking Navy, okay. And chefing in the military is not a fucking easy job, bro. You did chow hall duty, right? Did you do chow hall duty at all? Those mother
I did it for all three training things on the ship.
Not sure if they ran it like they did on ship, but those motherfuckers work literally probably 16 to 12 hours a day. They no free time. No,
Literally on a ship, if you work in the kitchen, you will be the first one awake and the last one to sleep.
and no free time.
Yeah, because in
Bro.
between, as soon as breakfast is over, lunch starts. As soon as lunch is over, dinner starts. As soon as dinner's over, mid-rat starts. Because people don't realize that on a ship, you have 4 meals instead of 3 because you have different shifts that work.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't only have your standard 3. You have to have the midnight meal too. So, like, I think by the time mid-rats is over, you have like 2 hours to go do, like, hit the gym, shit, shower, shave, fucking catch some, you know, maybe read a book, write a letter or something, and then bam, it's right back to breakfast.
Dude, and that shit is fun. As I love that shit. Like it was fun. Like I never told you guys because I didn't want my ass beat in the berthing, of course. But that's why I was gone all the time because I actually enjoyed it. I actually helped out. I didn't work as hard as they did, of course, because I'm a grade A skater. But I did a good bit of work. You know, I worked harder than any Marine on that ship. That's for damn sure. Maybe not Simon Jones because he was well liked by everybody too. But
So when I did mess duty, I did mid-rats. I think I talked about this, but mid-rats was responsible for all the baking for the day. So you would have to make any like rolls or cakes or, you know, anything like that. And dude, I love that shit.
Yep.
It was like I got to go by myself into the kitchen, and they would have, you know, the binder full of the recipes, right? And it'd be like, take 3 cans of this. Bam, you take the 3 giant cans, and you would just follow the directions, and then you had something physically that you could look at and you could see, and you'd be like, I did this.
Yeah.
This is mine, you know, like, and then like I would catch myself, like I'd be there eating dinner and I'd see like the sheet pan or the sheet cake that I'd made, and people were like eating it and be like, oh yeah, you know, it's good. I'd be like, yeah, I fucking made that shit.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I think off the second deployment, the most pictures I took was probably of me on mess duty. Because it was like, look at this cake I made. Look at these fucking 50 pounds of potatoes I just peeled. That's why, dude, I could peel potatoes. Like, I could be in a competition, dude. I'm fucking done.
Why do you even peel the? That's what I never got about the military. Why the fuck do you even peel the potatoes? The skin is like the best fucking part.
Well,
You don't like potato skin?
no, I mean, it depends on, like, scalloped potatoes. I wouldn't want the skins on it. Or like mashed potatoes. It depends on the type of potato.
Mashed potatoes.
If it's
can
like a
have
red,
skin on.
if it's like a red potato or something, I'll leave the skins on for mashed potatoes. But if it's just like a russet, like where it's like the, you know, real crunchy kind of skins,
Yeah.
and it's like, it has like a weird mouthfeel. I don't like
the russet, yeah, or the russet, yeah. So, what was your? Did you have a potato peeler, or did you use a knife?
No, I use a potato peeler.
I was hoping you sharpened the OK bar and was fucking.
But then when you were done peeling potatoes, then you had to have a knife, and like the dude that worked with me on mid-rats, he would come, and like if the potatoes weren't cut evenly, then he would fucking throw that whole thing away, and he'd be like, you have to fucking do it again. And it was like, fuck, dude. Like, not to mention, you only eat fresh shit for as long as it lasts. After that, you go to the freezer and the fucking cans of shit.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
when we were broken down, remember when we were broken down in the middle of the ocean, we were like eating frozen shit.
Yeah.
Like from
that
the
was
back
so
of the freezer.
We were eating ketchup, dog. We were eating fucking nothing but ketchup, man. And Syntha 6 is what I lived off of in those times.
I remember you would take or I would take a scoop of peanut butter, a packet of oatmeal, and then like 3 scoops of protein, and you'd mix a little bit of water just to get like a paste, and you'd fucking and that was your protein meal. That was
oatmeal.
If you went to the chow hall, you were gonna get plain white rice. And I never ate so much soy sauce in my fucking life as on that ship, because every meal, every dinner was like plain white rice.
I don't even eat ketchup anymore, bro, because of that shit. And it doesn't even taste bad. It's just like I fucking love eggs, bro. I do egg whites now because I'm getting older, but I fucking love eggs. But I ate so much eggs and ketchup, bro. Like mostly ketchup.
I remember when my dad was on the ship. I think 3 nights in a row they had steak and crab legs, and my
Yeah, I
dad
know.
he's like, I love steak and crab legs once in a while. He's like, not 3 days in a row. I'm like, yeah, welcome to the fucking military, dude. Like,
A- And they didn't get the steaks right, bro. Dude, I gotta cook. I know Orange said he cooks too. I bet Orange, oh, we gotta get head. I'm learning curry now.
have you
But I
ever
do,
tried sous vide?
uh-uh. What is that? I might have cooked it. I don't know the names of shit I cook.
No, so sous vide, it's a method of cooking. So you basically vacuum seal your meat and your marinade or flavoring, and you cook it in a hot water bath.
Hmm.
And so like when I do a steak, like I'll set it because I don't like super rare steaks. I like medium well to like medium. Um, but so you basically set it to like 100. I set mine to like 130 degrees. So
Fahrenheit or
yeah,
Celsius.
it'll never get hotter than 130 degrees. So,
Thus keeping all the nutrients intact, like you
but
were just
then
talking about.
then when you take it out, you can either throw it on the grill to get that kind of crust on the outside, or you can just eat it like that. It's fully cooked, but
Yeah.
you can basically set whatever temperature you want, and it'll cook only to that. So like
No.
these famous like steakhouses and shit, that's how they do your steak. So the
Oh.
dude, the texture is perfect. It's fucking like full. It's like it's not chewy. It's perfect, and it can sit in there for like my thing will stay on for 72 hours, and it will never get hotter than whatever temperature you set. So like I'll cook like a tri-tip like that at like 130 degrees for like 24 hours, and then you throw it on the grill for 20 minutes. And
20 minutes?
yeah, you get a nice crust all the way on the outside.
Bro, it takes me 2 minutes on each side and then maybe a minute in the oven at 120. So it takes me like 4 minutes to make probably the best steak ever. High heat, sear it. You're still, which it still turns out to be medium. I,
Yeah,
but I do the old fashioned 5-star restaurant. So with how do you do a filet mignon is you gotta, well, all steaks I kind of cook this way, but I do hot. And then of course I put butter, like when it's doing on the second side, I throw the butter in there
yeah,
to get
butter
the little
based.
soup, and then get the herbs in there, and then baste it, and then throw it in the oven, and then you gotta do. It just takes me about 5 minutes. I'll try your method. I'll try that method. Because it goes hand in hand with it, when I dehydrate stuff, I throw it in the oven for about 120 for ever
Well, that
because
I have a dehydrator, so I just use that.
I'm too cheap. I'm too cheap. I'm too cheap. The gas bill is not that expensive. I don't know. I guess it'd probably still be cheaper to use a dehydrator, but
So basically, like every year for Christmas, my dad gets me like a gift card to Bass Pro.
mm,
So last year, my wife, for my Christmas present, she bought me a meat slicer because she knows me.
mm,
And
no.
so I fucking get some steaks, fucking meat slice, thin. And then I bought my dehydrator for it's like $110, and I can fit. It has 10 trays in it.
Yeah.
And dude, I make jerky. I tried some fucking like dehydrated bananas and shit, but I didn't know that you were supposed to like soak them in like vinegar for a little bit so that they don't brown.
Yeah.
Or not vinegar, like citrus, like lemon juice and shit.
Damn, bro.
So they just turned into like mushy little brown discs. But the jerky I make is fucking delicious, dude.
Yeah, you probably are. We gotta exchange because mine are all like just from certain chef. I look up certain chef videos and learn how to do. I have not. I want to try that. I'm definitely so the beef pemmican back to that because you dehydrate the meat and apparently that'd have been great for MREs. So if I get good at this beef pemmican, I'm gonna try it. I'll probably send everybody some and then I'll probably start just if they ever deploy again, maybe start sending some overseas because apparently you can eat beef pemmican for years and that's it. Just nothing but beef pemmican with the right beef and you're good. So we're gonna explore some things. I also got another project going. My dad gets all these little plastic case things. I'm gonna make a vertical hydroponic set. There's a way that I got this. this Lost Ways had something I subscribed to for free for the first month, and it's a vault of stuff. And in this vault of stuff, a self-sustaining, which is nutrients and everything, hydroponic set where you use fish.
Yeah.
So the fish poop in the water. This circulates this to your plants. Your plants eat fish poop and sunlight. And it's the circle of life.
And the fish actually help with the pH and everything in the water, and the plants help the fish survive. The fish help the plants survive.
And it's something that is probably not the easiest. It sounds complicated. It's like setting it up is going to be the complicated part. It's not that complicated. It's just doing it. So I think I'm going to try this. But I think now, after me and my mom talked, it's just individual action. I mean, yeah, the government has this thing, but the government wouldn't get away with it if the majority of us knew how to do shit. If the majority of us is like, actually, we could grow our own food, so fuck you,
That's
then
because
the government would change.
the government's power is that people rely on it.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
they have leverage over you. But if you don't need them, then it doesn't matter what they say.
And those people in power, maybe they mean well, maybe they're seeing things. I don't believe in. I think evil is definitely made. There is good and evil, but evil is made because of stuff. So it's just we really do got to get off our asses. So what if I did make these hydroponic sets and figured out how to make them? They're already. Oh, it's been 1999, by the way, early 2000s. We've known about how to do this, but
Well,
so
that's how the Chinese people. That's how in China they grow their shit.
dude, and people like, God bless. So what if I had enough to give it to everybody? Would
They would arrest you for not having a fucking food license and shit.
or everybody would just be like, I don't want to fucking do the work. So which would happen first? And my mom seems to think that people wouldn't want to fucking do the work, or they wouldn't have time because they're working too much. And I'm like, yeah, what if is there not a way we could stop working for maybe the corporations are a great thing. I'm not against it, but maybe not work 50, 60 hours a week. Maybe not do that. I don't know. Maybe not though. Maybe not, bro. I don't know. We got to explore. I need some experts. Because me and my mom had a good conversation. She did, and she had a good argument. But it's also, can't we just educate people to care more? I mean, maybe not though. I don't know. I think we got to start. Definitely, we both can agree that the media has got to produce information we could actually base our life off of. Some actual information. We need some actual information produced without having to fucking pay what? How much for a textbook?
Fucking $200.
$200 fucking. Just give me information that I don't have to pay $200 for. Like shit. Like this book, The Lost Ways, is to me it's gold. Like I didn't appreciate it as a younger generation, but it's gold to me now. It's just these things that just.
Well, it's like you've heard of the Anarchist Cookbook?
I have the cussing one. Oh no, that's Thug Cookbook.
No, so Anarchist Cookbook is like it teaches you basically how to make improvised explosive devices, fucking weapons, shit like that. But it's illegal, or I don't know if it's illegal, but basically if you buy it, you're gonna get put on a watch list.
Yeah.
Because it also teaches you how to basically live a self-sustaining lifestyle. And the reason that it teaches you how to make a weapon is so that you can go out and hunt food and defend yourself from the tyrannical fucking government.
Yeah, because
I think it's like a series of a few books. I have one book which is like about snares and like deadfalls and shit like that.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating that you can, basically survive, kill enough animals to eat with using a rock and a stick. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
rock stick, it trips the stick, the rock falls and crushes it, and you get to eat dinner.
Yeah. We definitely need to perfect some methods. Like we need to take the knowledge we have now, and we need to perfect it before it's easy for overpopulation, stuff like that. There's probably some. I mean, obviously the Earth is not getting any bigger. It's hard to fucking swallow because I have 4 kids now. But there are people that have like 20 fucking kids. I mean, I know a guy, he didn't know any, and I don't even hate the guy. I love the guy. He was cool. I worked with him at Walmart, and he told I had 20 kids, bro. I'm like, shit. He's like, I paid child support on them all now and all that shit. But he's like, I didn't know, bro. I didn't care back then. He's like, I regret it now. He's like, I just didn't know or give a shit back then. I wasn't raised right. I'm like, man, fuck, and like I was raised right, and you're raised right. You're taking care, and I'm not. You already have 20 kids, brother. It's cool. You probably didn't know any better, but how are we gonna get a grip on that shit to stop, you know, doing that and stop? Because there are people that are trying to just cut a check off get their government check, but you're taking away from the people that are putting the money into it, and you're like, oh, they have more than you do. They don't. They're miserable. They've adapted to this environment unhealthily, and they've lost something in their survival at this job. I've seen it all the time. It's just, man, everybody's miserable at their job, and then every and they shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. So
So on that high note, you want to end it, and we're at what minute or hour 25?
yeah, bro, it's not as bad as it seemed to people, but yeah,
Just
I'm
hey,
clear, bro.
as long as you can keep fucking one foot in front of the other, just keep moving.
Keep moving. Try to do anything you can to help out your community, as little as it may seem. I swear, if you maybe even mow your neighbor's yard, you will start to feel better about yourself. If you could do something for somebody else and do it the Jesus way, even though I'm not saying I'm any one religion, there's great shit in all religion, but do it the Buddhist way is when you give charity, you don't give it for recognition. You do charity because it makes you feel better on the inside, and it will, and it is just as rewarding. You don't need the recognition. That'll come when needed. The universe will give you recognition when you need the recognition. So that is my advice for today.
Well, with that, I'm clear. Are you clear?
I'm all clear, brother.
All clear. Later.
Right.